He just shocked everyone in his Oilers debut as the Edmonton Oilers take on the Dallas Stars last night at Rogers Place in what seemed to be a potential Western Conference Finals rematch or preview. Depends on what you're looking at it, folks. It's going to be a fantastic series if it ever does happen. Again, all that more today on Oilers Digest. But first, if you hasn't subscribed to the channel already, make sure you do so. We are 9 subscribers away from 2,800 on the road to 3,000. So if you haven't done so already, folks, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below for any and all Oiler content on the road to the Stanley Cup playoffs. But let's get right into it. The better 96, yes, the two 96s met up last night with Mikko Rantanen with the Dallas Stars and Jake Walman making his Oiler debut last night at Rogers Place, which is a fantastic hockey game last night. And the Oilers take it 5-4 in regulation time, and what was a very dicey finish to this one, despite what the box score says for the first two periods, as Y. Johnson opened up the scoring for the Dallas Stars on the power play from Jason Robertson and Mikko Rantanen, his first point as a Dallas Stars forward. But the Oilers taking control from this point on. Zach Hyman, 2 goals in a span of 6 minutes. There's Jake Walman with a fantastic flip pass over the air to Zach Hyman, making it 2-1 Oilers. Victor Arvidsson getting off the schneid there. A rocket of a shot from Evan Bouchard, making it 3-1 Oilers. And then Connor McDavid undressing Ilya Lyubushkin, making it 4-1. And then Connor Brown, the third line. I've criticized the third line time and time again, but Connor Brown getting on the score sheet. 5-1 Oilers heading into the third period, and you're thinking, oh, well, it's just, easy coasting from here, smooth sailing. But the Dallas Stars say not so fast, with Mikko Rantanen and Jamie Benn and Matt Dumba in a span of 4 minutes. They're making it 5-4 Oilers. A tremendous shot from Mikko Rantanen there on the power play. I can't deny that was a fantastic shot. And then Jamie Benn, left all alone in the slot, lifts a backhander over Stuart Skinner. Brett Kulak, which is kind of standing in front of Stuart Skinner. Can't really fault Stuart Skinner on really any of the goals last night, believe it or not. 4 goals against. It was either, just a perfectly placed shot or the Oilers standing around, and then Matt Dumba off of the foot of Ty Emberson past the nets. But the Oilers getting the 5-4 win in regulation last night. And again, a very dicey one. They don't ask how, they just ask how many. And the Oilers getting it done when it is needed. Shots on goal 27-25 in favor of the Oilers. Hits 22-12. I know many were criticizing the Oilers for not being physical, but the new acquisitions of Jake Walman in Max Jones really bringing the heat to the Oiler lineup. Face-offs 20-25 in favor of the Stars, but power plays, Dallas going 2 for 3 on their power plays, but the Oilers are not getting a single power play whatsoever. Dallas playing a clean game, not so likely, but I digress. The Oilers, with Dallas's power play, 84.3, I believe heading into last night's game, it was going to be a tough one if the Oilers did get a power play, but 5 even strength goals. That's a win in itself. But again, Stuart Skinner, 840, can't fault him on any of the 4 goals let in last night. He's very calm for a good portion of the game, and that's what you need, a calm Stuart Skinner. You don't need a flailing Stuart Skinner or a very unconfident Stuart Skinner, because the difference between a confident and not confident Stuart Skinner is a very heavy one. And a goalie that's not very confident, doesn't matter if he has the 72 Soviets in front of him or any other team, that sinks a team very quickly. We can just take a look, the 2000s Vancouver Canucks, the West Coast Express, Bertuzzi, Naslund, Brendan Morrison, Ed Jovanovski. And who do they have? Dan Cloutier in net, and that's what sank them every single year. So a goalie, a team is only as good as their goalie. But Stuart Skinner, again, outdueled Jake Ottinger once again. Very akin to Game 6 of the Western Conference Final last year. Hopefully we can see more of that coming later in the spring. But like I said, the Oilers kind of falling asleep there in the third period. 27-16 Corsi, 4 in favor for the Dallas Stars there. Of course, scoring chances for 15-10. The Oilers somehow getting more high-danger chances for in the third period. I know most of those might have come with the empty net. Leon Draisaitl somehow still missing empty nets from his office. He can pick a corner when a goalie's there, but when the net's empty, don't ask him to put it in the back of the net, because it just will not happen. But of course, the Oilers always falling victim to falling asleep in the third period with a lead. We've seen it time and time again. No matter where we are at the season, the beginning, the middle of the season, or we are right now, the Oilers still having a little bit of trouble defending those multi-goal leads in the third period. Of course, with Paul Coffey and Kris Knoblauch, they preach defense, but defense, they need a little more of that last night. But again, I can't complain. They still got the job done. But when it comes to breaking down the lines, the first line, Connor McDavid, folks, he is back. Whatever you guys were worrying about with him, you don't need to do that anymore with Hyman, McDavid in Nugent-Hopkins going 18-6 for Corsi, Arvidsson, Draisaitl, and Podkolzin. I mean, analytically, yeah, a little weak. They were on for a goal for, but Victor Arvidsson, he was very noticeable all over the ice last night in a very good way. Most nights he's noticeable where he's falling all over the ice, but I think the trade deadline, the passing of the trade deadline, lifted a weight off of many of the Oilers' shoulders. Of course, who's gonna go, who's gonna stay, but of course the team sort of gelling together once they realize, hey, this is the squad we have now, and that is what I love to see. Of course, Mark Henrique and Brown, a very non-eventful line. Of course, that line also did produce the one Connor Brown goal, but Matisse Mark, I mean, why is he still in the lineup over a guy like Jeff Skinner? Still makes no sense to me whatsoever. What kind of blackmail Mark has on Kris Knoblauch, I have no idea, but again, that remains to be seen with Kris Knoblauch and how he will utilize Jeff Skinner throughout the rest of the season. Of course, Max Jones, like I said, back on that fourth line with Kapanen in Perry Kapanen. Again, very quiet game from him last night, but I love the way Max Jones plays in that Oiler uniform, hitting everything in sight, and he plays with a bit of a chip on his shoulder. Of course, he comes to a prestigious franchise, and he is, he's playing like he wants to stay up and, doesn't want to go back to Bakersfield or sit in the press box for the rest of the season. Of course, we also saw Hyman, Henrique, and McDavid for a little under a minute last night, but of course, in the limited time, great numbers. So hopefully we can see that later on down the road. Of course, we did see that line last year in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and I do believe the Stanley Cup finals there, but I think Henrique is better utilized as a winger next to Connor McDavid rather than trying to drive his own line there. So hopefully Knoblauch takes the hint for future situations. But just taking a look at the individual numbers, Connor McDavid just fantastic, dominant in all facets of the game there. McDavid, Hyman with a 2-goal night, one off of a hat trick there, almost got a hat trick there in the third with the empty net, but of course, the Oilers, they have an aversion to empty nets for some strange reason. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Darnell Nurse, and Evan Bouchard all having fantastic games. Darnell Nurse, 5-on-5, playing 23-48, but all situations, I do believe he played something 27-58 there. So 28-minute night for Darnell Nurse. So he is a workhorse. It was a bit dicey there with his situational decision-making there with the net empty for the Dallas Stars. But of course, Darnell Nurse, he's clearly trusted in those late game situations. But Jake Walman, I mean, the man of the hour, +3 last night. Fantastic pass to Zach Hyman. Had a tremendous hit on Mikko Rantanen, and he is a very, very easy fan favorite. And he's only played one game here for the Edmonton Oilers. You can see there with the hockey stat chart there, clearly at the top of the chart there. Again, all over the ice, making his presence known. I didn't notice one bad play from him whatsoever last night. Of course, that's probably going to change very soon here. All defensemen aren't perfect unless you're Nicholas Trim, but that's another story. But, the Walman Nurse pair, fantastic. And up and down the lineup there, of course, I kind of highlighted the players that I thought impressed me, including Max Jones there towards the bottom. Analytically, wasn't his best friend, but again, he has a presence on the ice, and I'm sure when Trent Frederick joins the lineup, that will be, something to look forward to. A little more skilled than Max Jones, but again, the same sort of skill set there. But Jake Walman, again, the man of the hour, his thoughts in his first game as an Oiler against a very, stacked opponent like the Dallas Stars. He said, I think there will be battles down the road with these guys at some point, and I think that was probably the perfect game for me to start off and get the feeling of what it's like. The pace was probably the biggest thing I noticed. Just the compete level, and these guys are always on. It feels like a different level, and I'm just really excited to play at that level. And like I said before, meaningful games. I think that was kind of almost like a pre-playoff game. And of course, going from San Jose to Edmonton, it's a bit of a culture shock, but it's a welcome culture shock for Jake Walman nonetheless. But of course, that fantastic nowadays where they just let guys skate right past him. But Walman, his thoughts on that hit. I like to be physical anytime somebody's coming through the middle, but I think I let off a little bit. It's a tough play being caught in that position. You don't want to see anybody get hurt, so it is what it is. Of course, 96 on 96 crime, and of course, I liked what I saw from the Oilers for a good chunk of the game last night. Minutes, 1 through maybe 50. The the 6 minutes that it took Dallas to sort of climb back into this game a little bit dicey, but I liked what the Oilers did last night. Of course, it was a switch up from what we saw, last, I do believe, Tuesday against the Anaheim Ducks. That was just a shambolic game in all facets there, all across the board for the Oilers. But this was a different team. Like I said, the trade deadline lifted a weight off many of the Oilers' shoulders. And you saw guys, get off, goal scoring droughts like Connor Brown and Victor Arvidsson there. Just a rocket of a shot from Arvidsson. But even Kris Knoblauch loved what he saw last night. The first two periods, I thought we did a lot of good things. We were faster and more direct. I thought our forecheck hunting pucks was much, much better. I think also the score was a little bit skewed. I think things were going our way. We were getting the bounces, and then in the third period, the bounces were going their way. But there were a lot of things I liked in the Oilers. We'll try to, build off of that with the things that Kris Knoblauch did like with the New York Minute. Yes, the Edmonton Oilers do head out east to the state of New York and New Jersey for one game starting tomorrow night against Ryan McLeod in the Buffalo Sabres there in Buffalo, New York, 6 o'clock Central, 5 o'clock Mountain, so an early one on a weekday, which I always love. And folks, despite the Oilers, recent slump, ever since the end of the Four Nations face-off, they are only 4 points back of the Vegas Golden Knights. So the sky is not falling. Despite Vegas having a game in hand, there's still lots of hockey left to be played. The new look Oilers, they might be doing some tremendous things, taking down everything in their path. But that is it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments what you thought about last night's game, and what did you think about Jake Walman's debut last night? Did you love it? Did you want to see even more from him? I mean, what more could you have wanted from him, right? I mean, fantastic player in the first game. As Noah, I didn't think he looked out of place whatsoever. I think he looked like he was there since, the beginning of the season, since training camp there. That's just the kind of player Jake Walman is. So I'm interested to see your thoughts on his play in the game from last night. And if you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button for any and all Oiler news. Folks, have a great rest of your Sunday and a fantastic start to your week. Spring is almost sprung. It is almost that time of the year. Warmer weather. The time has changed. Wasn't too big of a fan of the clock going forward, but that means better days are ahead. Take care. I'm Matt.